Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kyle Groves. I am an EIT and a technical specialist with ATG USA. Today we're here to talk about the CIM Manager Suite from CTC Software. Our main goal today is we're going to explore the benefits of using the CIM Manager Suite to help streamline the setup and maintenance of template building inside Civil 3D. We're going to talk about three main tool sets with a few different sub options among them. The first is going to be Survey Template Manager, which helps us do our description key set. That's how our points get automatically categorized once we bring them into the drawing, as well as our figure prefix database, which is that automatic line work connecting our survey points. Then we'll talk a little bit about Template Tracker. If you've been using the CIM project suite, you'll notice that this is a lot to do with one of the tools in there. We're going to keep that in the in the user suite, the project suite, but we've expanded its functionality over at CTC Software to get the few extra bits in there with the manager suite. The last thing we're going to talk about today is Layer Boss, and that is going to help us do our Civil 3D object layers, and that's also going to do our AutoCAD layering. And just one thing before we move on, when we're talking about the Survey Template Manager tool or the Layer Boss tool, the key here is that we're not going to be doing the bulk of that work inside Civil 3D. We're going to be using Excel or another spreadsheet editor to modify these CSV files in a way that's easy and intuitive that Civil 3D just doesn't really give us access to. So with that, the CIM Manager Suite, what does it do? Why do we care? Well, this is designed for anyone who's using Civil 3D as that CAD manager support role to support your production teams. So this isn't for the people in the trenches actually doing project work all of the time. This is so that when you want your users to press a button and have that thing happen, this is going to help you get all of that stuff set up correctly. So this is for those support staff users, more so than the project users, thus the manager suite and the project suite. Here's what it's going to look like inside our ribbon after we've gone ahead and installed it, and we can see we've got those tools, Survey Template, Template Tracker, and Layer Boss, with each of their own subcommands that we're going to explore right now. First up is the Survey Template Manager. What this does is it greatly improves our survey template management through an automated configuration of description key sets and figure prefix databases. And we're going to do that by kicking all of the info we need out of Civil 3D into a spreadsheet editor and then suck it right back in. The description key set extractor or exporter is exactly that. It will extract out a description key set from a file that you have open, and you can also use this to set up a blank template that you're going to start from scratch on. So when we extract an existing DKS out of Civil 3D, this is what it's going to look like. We're going to just open up this file. I'll be using Microsoft Excel today, but this is everything, every column, every row from that file. So we get to the opportunity inside Excel to define new point label styles or to assign those to different codes or point styles, double check the block name, and all of these fancy parameters over on the side. The other thing that we can do is if we don't have a template that we want to start from, we can start from scratch by using a blank template. One of the benefits of this is that when we use the tool to come up with that blank template, our spreadsheet is going to have locks where Civil 3D would expect you to have locks. So for example, when I'm modifying a particular code, this check yes or no, I can only do things inside my spreadsheet editor that Civil 3D would allow me to do. So when we use the tool to get that template set up, it's going to go ahead and help us prevent ourselves from making more mistakes later on. So next up, we've got the description key set creator. And this is kind of the other side of that process. Once we've taken something out or we've built something and modified it, it's time to bring that back inside Civil 3D. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take that spreadsheet information and we're going to use that to either create a brand new description key set in our active file, or we're going to synchronize the Excel file to make our Civil 3D exactly that. So whenever we see sync, it is a true sync. Any extra information inside of our spreadsheet is going to be added to Civil 3D, and any information that is not found within the spreadsheet is going to be removed from Civil 3D. So it's really important that we understand we have the option to either sync or create a brand new one. For our other option with this, we do have the ability to include our point styles and our point label styles. And when we do that, we're going to have some nuances. We'll check that out when we get inside the software. But again, if we've already gone through the process of getting these set up, we want to make sure we bring as much of that info with as possible. If there's nothing there and we don't want to worry about it, we don't have to either. We can leave that unchecked. So again, this is what it looks like. Now this would be an example view from the tools perspective. We are going to be syncing, in this case, an outside file into our active drawing. So we can see we're adding codes, Scott, Myzak, ATG, USA. This is my coworker Scott being a little cheeky, having some fun. But we can see that these codes are going to get added to the drawing. There's a bunch of codes that nothing's going to happen to. But there were some codes that we removed from our spreadsheet and are therefore going to be removed from Civil 3D in this sync operation. Again, too, we do have point and label styles coming through here, so we did check that box in this instance, but again, we'll see that inside the software in a little bit. Our next big tool is after we get our description key set put together, we need that in order to generate our automatic line work, which is where the figure prefix database export import workflow comes into play. So we'll see this as an increasingly common theme throughout the rest of this webinar, but this is what we're doing. We're taking information from inside Civil 3D, we're pulling all that information out into a spreadsheet, and then we're bringing it back into Civil 3D to reflect those changes that we've made. So with the prefix database, we take our active drawing, we choose one, we spit it out into an Excel file. We can also start from scratch if we want to. When we're going ahead and creating it, again, this is going to look very similar to the other, to the description key set workflow. We're going to find that file that has the info we're looking for. We're going to choose whether or not we want to create a brand new one, or if we're going to modify an existing one, and do we either want to full synchronize or take any extra information from the Excel file and add it to that other existing one. And just like we had the option for some advanced Civil 3D stuff with the DKS, we've also got that with the prefix database with our survey figure line styles. This is what the tool looks like inside the drawing. Again, going to be a common theme here: new, changed, unchanged, deleted, or any duplicates we may have found. But when we're creating a new one or syncing, we're doing that from the Excel file where it's easy to make these changes. Next up, we're going to talk about the template tracker tool. And again, I'll show us the project suite version and the expanded functionality in the manager suite. But the focus of this tool is to make sure that we know what our Civil 3D styles are doing. We can't delete layers, even if they're empty, even if they're not layer 0 or def points or so on and so forth. We can't delete a layer if there's a Civil 3D style associated with it. And without this tool, really the only way to figure out if a style is associated with a layer is a very brute force trial and error approach. This tool makes all of that mapping super easy to identify and also super easy to change. So we'll see that inside the software, but basically we're just trying to get a feeling for what layer has, or what Civil 3D style, now in the Manager Suite, has a particular other style associated with it, so that we can make sure that everything's mapped correctly, or even for the process of removal. So we're going to list these with the selected layer. I can see, for example, when I'm using Template Tracker and I'm looking for layers and Civil 3D styles, the layer C property bearing has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish different style references. So even if this layer was empty, open a drawing, nothing on it, I can't delete that layer because it's got styles associated with it. So right here inside the tool, I have the option to take a style, put it on a different layer. I can modify the style layers in general, or I can say, I'm done with this style, just get rid of it. The expanded functionality of using this in the Manager Suite as opposed to the Project Suite is the ability to also do this now with our AutoCAD text, dimension, and multi-leader styles. So just another great way to see, hey, am I really using this? Do we need to keep it around anymore? Or, oops, I thought we had the annotative style, not the non-annotative style associated with that. So it's just an easy way to go through and check stuff out. The last tool that we're going to talk about is the Layer Boss tool. And just like with our survey database stuff, we're going to be using Excel to bulk modify and easily modify things that have to do with our layers inside Civil 3D. This is really going to speed up our template management process. So the first one that we're going to look at is the object layers. This is a Civil 3D thing. And this is for when I create a surface, do I want that surface to automatically go on a certain layer? Do I want a brand new layer to be created that includes the name of that surface? Is that at the front, the back? How's that all going to work? So CTC Software has actually figured out a way to take all of that information, kick it out into Excel, and suck it back into Civil 3D. So we'll take a look at that. And then the other thing that we've got is our actual AutoCAD layers themselves. So we understand that layers can come from a variety of sources. Not every single drawing has every single thing we're looking to grab and put together into a single source. So we've also expanded this functionality working with CTC Software to also say, hey, grab any of the XREFs that are associated with this drawing, or go out, I know what 5 drawings I'm looking for, but I only want to run the tool once. Maybe we're interested in not only just grabbing layers that are either all used or unreconciled or whatever else, but maybe I only want all storm layers or property layers or civil or survey or landscape architect, whatever else. We have the ability to really drill down and figure out, what do we want? Let's put it into Excel. And again, we can already do this one out of the box, at least taking things from Civil 3D and putting it into Excel. It's as simple as opening the Layer Manager palette, Control-A, Control-C, and paste it into Excel. And we're going to get something that looks a lot like this. And then we can use Excel to say, oh, I want to delete this layer, I want to make these changes. But in order to apply those changes inside Civil 3D, that's back to being a manual process. So this tool, yes, we could technically get that info out of Civil 3D from one single drawing, but it really makes it easy to get that stuff taken care of on the dynamic side for sucking that back inside AutoCAD and Civil 3D. So with that, again, this is just going through there, find your file, sync, add, let's figure out how we want to mess with that. New, updated, change, deleted, duplicate. Let's go ahead, stop talking about all this stuff and see it in action and hop inside Civil 3D. So I do also have two different instances of Civil 3D Open, as we can see. I've got one that's running the Civil 3D 2018 Imperial profile, and I've got another one that is our ATG/CTC, a little bit more customized profile. I just didn't want to be jumping around a lot inside File Explorer or looking for those other files, which is why we've got this set up. So let's go ahead and take a look at this, how we would get files or information out of a file that we've got set up already, like this ATG custom profile stuff with our templates. We've got our survey template, we've got our design template, but we want to make some changes. So I'll go ahead and I'll open up the survey template. And just get rid of drawing one. And we'll go in and we'll check, make sure that when we're working on our CIM Manager suite to mess with our description key set, do we even have one to export in the first place? And that answer is yes. And I can see that I've got quite a few different codes here to work with, so we're really going to be able to apply this pretty well. And when I go to export the description key set, it's just saying, hey, which ones are available in the drawing? There is only one, so that's fine. And it's going to prompt me for a list of different files. And I will just go ahead and, I was practicing earlier, so we'll using stuff with parentheses on them. And once I go ahead and export this info out of Civil 3D, it's going to ask me if I want to open it. Sure, why not? We're doing this to make changes anyway. And I can see that my Excel file looks pretty much exactly like my Civil 3D file. So if I come up, you can see I've got that code ARV, error release valve. I've got styles associated, scale parameters, all this other stuff. And it's all here inside my Excel file. So we have successfully pulled all of that information out. Let's make a few changes. I'll go ahead and just delete everything after G and add in another one, ZS asterisk, and I'll grab just some of this other information. Or actually, we'll just delete in this case. So we'll give that a save. Close out of this, and we will open up a new file. This is, again, this is my out-of-the-box Civil Imperial profile. So when I go to create a new drawing, it's going to just kick me into that out-of-the-box location for those templates, which is, of course, my Windows user app data local folder. So to open this, I'm not going to have a whole lot set up as far as my survey settings, my description key sets, everything else isn't really going to be here. So my description key set, I do have one called Civil 3D. It is very small, only has a few different codes. So let's go ahead and let's bring these description keys in from that other file. So we're going to run the create as opposed to the export. I'm going to go find that Excel file. And what do I want to do with this? Do I want to create a brand new one? Or do I want to modify the Civil 3D one? Well, if I go to, say, add to the description key set, I'm not going to get rid of any of those ones from previously. So I'll run the sync. And then I'm also going to check this create new point in label styles. And we're going to run into something here that kind of brings us back to thinking about this process a little bit more. So when I'm creating this description key set, I've got a brand new code ARV. That was in the file of my Excel file. It's coming into the software. And since STA, stormwater manhole, tree, these were not in that Excel file, they're in the deleted codes section. They are not going to survive this process because we're synchronizing, not just adding. However, notice that I've got some information in red. That means that Civil 3D doesn't have enough information to properly define that yet. So In this drawing, I don't have a block called ARV. I don't already have a point style called ARV CTC or a label style that says no display. These will get created, but they're not going to quite have the settings we're looking for. However, when I go to the BOR file, the BOR description key, this STA, that's in black. So I do have that block, but I don't have a point display style, a marker style, that's called BOR CTC. So that's going to get created, and my label style, again, no display, is going to get created. As we move to the right along this list, vNode BOR, that layer, that's in black. That already exists. What doesn't exist are the layers vNode, curb, bituminous, or building. Those are going to get created, but we're not going to get control over color, line type, plot style, or plot color, all those other things, because AutoCAD is just going to create those for us based on general drawing settings and some other rules. So my advice to you when you're using this tool, if you see red, stop, go back. Provide the drawing with the information that it's looking for. So if you don't have that catch basin block in your drawing, define it properly. Create a point style inside Civil 3D that's going to accurately reflect the display for that. Create a label style, structures-CTC, that's going to present the information that you're looking for in the order of information that you're trying to present it. So you only run this import one time to get stuff in. But let's see what happens if we kind of ignore that and we just go through and we import this. We're going to get a quick confirmation. Hey, here's how many new codes you get. Here's how many deleted codes you get. And this same description key set, when I go to edit it, is going to have all of this info. And if I go to that BOR CTC style, and I go into edit it, I can see that my marker is just going to be an AutoCAD block, and that is the correct block. There it is, my STA, and that's all good. But since I didn't have that no description or that no display point label style set up, then I'm not going to get that to look the way that I want. So if I go into my point label styles, no display CTC, and I go to all of this stuff, I have info and it's not invisible. I have components there. So that didn't quite go the way that I was hoping it would. Let's take a look at one of those other description keys that I didn't get, or that I had, but I didn't want. I didn't have that block defined, so like that catch basin. Go in, we'll edit the style. The default when Civil 3D has to create its own new marker style is to go with one of these custom markers, and it's just the simple X. So we would have to go through and either redefine that style afterwards, or do it the first time and confirm that it's correct. The other issue, we had some layers that weren't created beforehand, so now my building layer, vNode building, that's just white, continuous, default line weight, and the description matches the name. So I would want to actually use my drawing layers to set those up ahead of time, and then I can bring them into my drawing. But we'll keep kind of going through here left to right in the order of it. So that's the export import on the description key set. We will use the figure prefix database as well. And this is another reason why I have those two different Civil 3D profiles open in two different instances. It's very easy for me to go to my survey and confirm that I have all my survey user settings correctly. So for example, in my custom ATG CTC profile, I'm looking to a specific well-defined place on C, whereas when I'm using my out-of-the-box Civil 3D Imperial template, I've got all that stuff pointing to my my program data folder. For my survey equipment and other things. So I'm actually going to make sure that this gets repathed so that I can show you guys exactly how this is supposed to work. Program data, Autodesk, C3D18, ENU survey. Let that update. Too simple as my default. If I were to actually navigate to that page in my Explorer, I can actually see that this, my practice round of getting that prefix database imported, that was actually written in here. So we'll take a look at that. We can go ahead and give it a delete, give it a refresh, and we'll watch that come back in. So where I have all of these settings configured with my prefix database, I can export that. I had these flopped, that's why. Just a moment while it's all refreshed. Well, we can go ahead and we can create a brand new one while we're waiting for this to go. So if I run the open Excel, sample Excel file, this is just going to create that brand new blank template. It's going to prompt us to open it. Just so you guys know, we have not officially released this. So if you've noticed a difference in the PowerPoint slides between that and what's actually shown up in my dialog boxes in the software, or if you've noticed something different between now and when you guys actually, when this tool is released, we're very excited about it. The functionality is basically all there. The user interface is pretty well set, but we may expect some minor changes to occur between now and release or in future releases. So just want to check that out. So our name for this, we'll call this curb. Yes, it's a break line. And see, I try to just type in yes, it wouldn't take that. Since I created this from my predefined stuff, it is actually only going to accept yes, no, or the other thing. And I've even got layers here based off of this. So we're going to go with the figure curb style test. That's not going to be in there, and we're not going to assign that to a site either. That to save. And then now in my other profile, or for my other prefix stuff, I can create it. Browse. And I'll add this to the sample, and we'll just give it that additive with the figure line styles. And we can see I'm going to get this new code, but the layer vfigure curb isn't in my drawing already, so that's going to get created. It's in red. I don't have a style called test, and I don't have a site called none. So these are all going to get added. But when I run the tool, it didn't like it. I think I messed something up in that new file. So we're just going to go back and we're going to import one of these other ones that I've already gotten set up. There we go. So this is an otherwise configured prefix database that we had hanging out somewhere else in an Excel file. And when we bring this in, something's going on. I believe this is a bug that we'll have figured out before release. But what we're doing here, folks, is we're just kicking stuff into Excel. we're sucking it right back in to Civil 3D. The next tool that I want to take a look at while we're hitting our half-an-hour mark here is the Template Tracker tool. And our Template Tracker tool, this is where we're going through. There is the corollary in the project suite that was formerly called Layer Trace. All that was looking for was Civil 3D styles and layers, but the Template Tracker still maintains that functionality. So for example, I can go to the layer C Hydro Text. I can take these styles that are associated with it. I can swap them onto C Prop Lots. Now when I go to C Prop Lots, here are those different styles. I didn't delete them. I didn't get rid of them. I just moved them around. Now, since C Hydro Text does not have any styles associated with it, I have the option to delete the layer. And it's gone. So Template Tracker does that, but it also, now in the Manager Suite, has the expanded functionality of looking for our AutoCAD text, dimension, and multi-leader styles. So for example, in my text styles, I want everything to be annotative. Let's see how well I set this template up. Well, I actually have nothing that's set up to be annotative. I do, however, have a few blocks that are using that S for text style, a few with the SHR, and a bunch of stuff is using standard. So I'm just going to Control A, or rather Shift select, all of these styles from standard. I'm going to swap them to annotative. And now we're cooking. So for the standard, I think I just forgot to grab those. But we can see here that we've got a bunch of more stuff is acting annotative now. This works just the same way with our dim styles as well as our multi-leader styles, which there are a few fewer in this particular drawing. Our object layer settings, this is the stuff when we go into our drawing settings and we go to edit our drawing settings for the object layers tab. This is what we're talking about. When I create an alignment, get assigned to the layer C-road. If I want a new layer to be created, I'd add in that modifier and I just throw in an asterisk to say object name. So that's all the stuff that I can pull out of Civil 3D, mess with in Excel, and bring back in. Same thing with my layers. Right now I can see in this drawing, I have 222 layers. Let's kick those out into Excel. Or if I wanted to, I could go pick different drawings and go browse for them and add them to this list. I also have the ability to apply layer filters if those are being recognized. So in this drawing, I don't have many, but if I had things like my storm layers or my pavement layers or my utility layers, I can further reduce the amount of layers that I'm trying to bring in or out. And if I do the building, say, or actually let's do V dash, I'll export that to Excel. I can see every V dash layer or a layer that has V dash in it got removed from my drawing. And if I wanted to, I could try and update my drawing layers and sync it, and it would go through the process of deleting as many as it could. But we'd have to deal with our Civil 3D styles and some other things. These are the tools, though, that are available to us in the CIM Manager Suite. Our goal is to stop screwing around inside Civil 3D. The biggest one for this is definitely a really, really huge one is that description key set. Adding these one code at a time is so time consuming and frustrating. Even if you had an Excel spreadsheet where you would want to go ahead and plan all this work out, now you get to skip that step. You just get to press a button and it all comes into the software for you. Template Tracker helps us make sure that we have our styles associated with the correct layers. We can get our drawing objects done. We can get our drawing layers done. So with that, I want to go ahead and thank everybody so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Also like to open up to any questions if we have them. I'm going to go ahead and unmute the party. So please keep the chatter or any salty language to a minimum, and we'll take some questions. Not seeing any questions so far, but gonna hang out here for another minute or so. I do also have a poll, however, just a little bit of feedback for everybody. So if you would please fill this out before you log off, we would really appreciate it. We want to keep giving you the best content possible from ATG, and we can't do that without everybody's feedback and everybody's support. I'm going to keep this poll open for a little bit longer, and now it appears to just be ATG folk. So thank you everybody for attending, and have a great rest of your Thursday.